Hello, good evening and welcome to the program. This is Daily Politics live on Trust TV, your go-to destination for everything politics, policy and governance. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you most kindly for joining us tonight. Now, let's kick things off with a look at some of the day's biggest stories. The Dangote refinery has on Tuesday rolled out its first premium motor spirit, also known as petrol, from its 650,000 barrels per day facility. At a press conference, owner of the Lagos-based refinery and billionaire businessman Aliko Dangote declared that it's celebration day for Nigerians. This is coming as the Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation Limited increased its pump price of fuel from 617 naira per litre to 897 naira per litre, with some filling stations selling the product at above 1,000 naira per litre, although the NNPC has denied that memo authorizing the price increase. And elsewhere, President Bola Tinubu has met with Chinese President Xi Jinping at the Great Hall during his official visit to China. The president is also expected to attend the 2024 Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, which is scheduled to be held between September 4th and 6th. The forum seeks to strengthen economic and political ties between China and African countries. Back here on the home front, the Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matoale, and other military chiefs have arrived Sokoto State in a mission to rid the northwest of the menace of banditry, kidnapping, and terrorism. Matoale says while in the northwest, they would supervise operations and ensure that Bello Turji and his bandits are flushed out. These are some of the day's political stories for you, as well as other developing issues. Right, now let's set the tone for today's conversation. Nigeria's three leading opposition figures are contemplating a merger to unseat the ruling APC in the 2027 presidential election. On Monday, the PDP's deputy national spokesperson Ibrahim Abdullahi revealed that Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi and Rabi Musa Kwankwaso, opponents in the last election, are considering setting aside personal ambitions to form a powerful alliance. However, the PDP faces internal turmoil as the party summoned FCT Minister Wike over alleged anti-party activities, further complicating the merger's prospects. Now, with tensions high, can this alliance overcome the hurdles ahead of the 2027 elections, or will 2023 repeat itself? Well, to help us explore this talking point is Dr. Andrew Ilesanwi. He is a seasoned political analyst and he's joined us in the studio for this conversation tonight. Doctor, good to see you. Good evening and thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Good evening to you and thank you for having me tonight.
Now, for the most part, Nigeria is politically active all year round, regardless of whether elections are around the corner or we just finished a general election less than 16 months ago from last year. But the permutations are already on. Hearing this development, I mean, it has always been permeating news circles before the elections and immediately after the elections when APC was declared winner. Give me your thoughts about whether this is dead on arrival because of the personalities involved, because of the individual ambitions, or you see a possibility of there being a likely merger that could wrestle power away from the APC.
Well, Ahmed, good evening. If you look at politics as played, after one election is done, you're preparing for the next one. Even if you have nowhere seated, you're already preparing for the next one. Now, if you look at the relationship between these three strongholds, at first they were eyeing each other from far, but now they want to come together and befriend themselves, see how they can get married, to see if they could form a formidable alliance and to forge. So I look at it that, okay, it's a very good one, it's a very, very healthy one, very holy alliance. And if they really come together, because they have a product to sell, but they don't know the market. There's a product.
Explain that. They know the product. I mean, these are seasoned political figures. We're talking about Atiku Abubakar, two-time vice president,
yes,
serial contender. in the presidential
Yeah.
election, a key political figure. Peter Obi, two-time governor. Rabi Musa Kwankwaso, two-time governor, former minister.
And a senator.
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, what do you think is missing here in the calculations?
If you look at these three figures in a triangle form, you see that Atiku is still in the race, hoping that one day the pendulum will swing towards his own. Now, where do we put Kwankwaso? Where do we put Obi if they finally come together? Rabi Kwankwaso is a force in this country and is a hold in the north and a cut across everywhere. If you look at it, well-spoken, well-tailored, it's a man who people want to hear him say. Peter Obi has been able to break the youths very well. That's a very good market. But how will he be able to harness it when tomorrow comes? Atiku is a figure you cannot throw away. So if they really come together and put their self and their house together and say, okay, the product they want to sell is PDP, but will Kwankwaso be part of this product? Will Obi be part of this product? But these two figures were at the formation of this party.
Right. I mean, given that they all share the same roots politically, they are all members of the PDP at one point. Isn't that a good sign that there is room for negotiations? There's a common ground that they can work with. I mean, Peter Obi in 2019 was Atiku's running mate in the elections. Isn't that a sign that they're not very far disconnected when it comes to negotiations?
If you look at what Peter Obi did in one of his interview of how much he respects Atiku Abubakar, so there's a window. The window is wide open that he can still come in. But this time around, what will be given to him was the offer. So the negotiation is already ongoing. Now they need to kind of put themselves together. Atiku come from the left, you come from the right. There's a center point. Let us meet at the middle and forge. You understand? So the market now is very wide. And Nigerians now are yearning for that change because of what is going on.
Do you see a repeat of what happened in the build-up to the 2015 elections, when you get a sense that all political parties have put the PDP in their sights as a target to defeat it at all costs? So we see the merger of CPC, we see some elements from the PDP come together, we see ACN come together, we see a part of ABGA join the alliance that formed the current APC. Do you think that what is happening right now is reminiscent of what happened some 10 years ago?
Yes, because if you look at it, how did APC won? They merged. They came together, buried their anger, bury whatever it is, came together and pushed away PDP. That's the same thing PDP is trying to do now. Bring all warring factors together. Come, let us reason together so that we can get this thing done right. So the same way APC won that election, this is what PDP is trying to do now. By bringing all these warring factors together, I said, okay, let us see how we can do this together. That's why it's for the very first time, you can see how loud, how noisy this marriage between Atiku, Kwankwaso, and Obi. You can see how the relationship is really gaining ground, how the celebration of the marriage, everybody is now getting interested.
Yeah. I mean, before the 2023 elections, this conversation has been re-echoed over and over, and all the camps have had to come out and deny any sort of merger before the elections, and they all went into the battle alone.
Yes.
And they lost narrowly to APC's Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Why should Nigerians expect this to work now? If they didn't do it last year, why do you think they're going to consider doing it before 2027?
Well, if you look at the present situation now, Nigerians are yearning for that massive change that will overturn anything. So you don't even need to, you just need a little push for Nigeria to open their arms and welcome you back. Right now, with what is going on right now in Nigeria, Nigeria wants that change that will really calm situation down. So if they get their house in order and they get it right, I don't think that will be a problem for them. It will just be a straight jacket for them to just put on.
Okay, let's talk about what could go wrong. In your view, what could go wrong with this possible alliance or merger, as the case may be?
What will go wrong is what went wrong in 2023 election. If they don't get it right, anytime from tomorrow, they will not get it right again. Once they miss getting it right, they will not get it right. So they will feel like they failed before. So I hope that they are able to put their house in order, sit down. Don't be in a hurry to present anything for us. Have you thought of it? You understand? Have you asked questions? Have you consulted people? Because consultation is very, very important now. And you can see so many of the people that we thought there were forces in APC before are no longer talking. Because probably what they are expecting are not what they are getting now. You understand? So if you look at it, we don't hear them anymore. So it's time to go back to those people who started PDP. Go beg them, ask them, come home. We realize our mistake and we are sorry. It's less expensive when you tell somebody you're sorry because it heals a lot. That's how I see it. And if they get it right from anything tomorrow, which you'll be having a meeting, I think it will go home and drive for them.
Yeah, we don't know whether that National Working Committee meeting of the PDP is going to hold tomorrow, but staying with the PDP development, they have a Wike problem. And for the most part, I think they have to get rid of that problem before they can proceed. Because we all know he's a part of the Tinubu administration. He's unapologetic about working for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's presidential campaign in the build-up to last year's election.
Yes.
Now, clearly, they are yet to sort this massive challenge within the PDP. What do you reckon is going to happen? Because pushing him out of the PDP looks like a Herculean task.
If you look at it, they can't push Wike away. Wike is not a pushover kind of person. You need him for the money bag, you need him for the noise.
Why would he work for the APC? He is currently working for the APC administration.
Prior to this time, there was a particular figure that worked for, when PDP was ruling, there was APC. The way APC was ruling, there was PDP deputized. That's a Goromado. I'm sure you remember that period. So right now, it is all about interest. Not that it's personal. It's just interest. What is the need for me? If I support you, what is the need for me? And they want to overturn, they want to overtake, they want to clear the road. They need Wike. Wike is a force to reckon with. And if they make mistake by saying, okay, let them push Wike away, where do you push Wike to?
I mean, but he's clearly made his allegiance known. He's, like I said, unapologetic about working for Tinubu in 2023.
Yes.
And from his body language, you get a sense that he's not going to leave PDP and he's not going to work for the PDP in 2027. That's at least what you can tell from some of the posturing and the things that he's had to say. So how does this merger go ahead if they have, quote unquote, an enemy within the party structure itself?
In every political sphere, there's always an element inside. That element is either he has a leg outside and has another one inside. So that is where we are playing with now. So he doesn't have regards for you, whatever you say about him. His allegiance is to the man that gave him a job, and he told him, I'm going to work for you and I'll deliver for you. So what do? Why did they even allow him to go at first? You think you don't need him. And there was a comment he made at a certain interview one time like that when nobody was around, he was the only one that was holding forth. And he had already captured so many. Some governors are with him. Recently, I read somewhere where he said that he's going to put fire in some certain states. Whoa, that's big, very big if he does that. So because when they were supposed to tame him, they didn't tame him. So they allowed him, left, everybody was not around. He was the back man that was holding forth the house. And you can't just come now and say you want to take over from him. So they need to really, really work with him and see if he can be convinced, okay, let us work together and see how we can get this.
Is that even realistically possible, given the animosity, the political animosity? I know politicians, they can be enemies in the eye of the public, but behind the scenes they could be laughing and jolly with one another. But do you realistically think that the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory would be factored into this alliance as a positive factor?
I don't see that coming. I really don't see that coming. I had a one-on-one one time like this with a certain figure in PDP who told me that he has pocketed a lot of people. I was weak. A very strong factor who told me that look, this is what is going on. Some are working for him. So I don't see it coming because they really need to do a lot of work, both ground, both middle, both up, for them to really be able to give him. So what would they be telling him? He sees himself as governor, president, vice. He sees himself as all in all and most in thoughts. You can't go a day without Wike being on the news. So you know how that feels. You can't go a day in Abuja today without Wike being in the news for one reason or the other. So I don't see Wike leaving President Tinubu to go and start working for the PDP where he rightly belongs to. He didn't leave PDP. He didn't let go of the PDP. And he's working for APC. So you see APC running to him and you see PDP running to him.
The PDP is talking about sending him a letter in that same interview where the deputy national spokesperson of the party spoke about this rumored alliance. He also talked about an invitation letter summoning Wike to come and answer for his quote-unquote anti-party activities and everything else that has been in the public domain. Do you see a punishment coming his way that could perhaps cost him his membership? I know there's a court order, there's a court injunction that is stopping the party from expelling him or suspending him and things like that. But outside of what's happening in the courts, do you see the PDP pushing him out at all costs, especially if they're trying to chart a new course?
I don't think PDP can push Wike right now as it is now. They need him.
In what way exactly?
Politically, they need him because right now the first thing is, where do you stand?
I mean, politically, he's not with them. He's worked against them.
So you see that. But politically, he's holding the house. The pillar of PDP today, I'm sorry to use this word, is him. Tell me who is available. He calls the shot today.
I mean, he's a former governor and currently a minister for the APC government. Yes. How is he holding down the fort for the PDP?
Like I said earlier, there was a time PDP was more or less like a ghost. Ago. Yes. But he was the one holding fort. That was when His Excellency Atiku Abubakar was always not available. He made it clear in a public forum that he's been the one holding the house. Where were they when he was building people? Where were they when he was building the party? Where were they when he was holding all the structures? And they left it for him. If you remember between him and his brother, Secundos, you see how that one plays. So at those periods, they have allowed him to creep into everywhere. So they can't just come now today and say, okay, let us take everything away from him all over again. Who does that?
All right, so let's talk about the other political parties and some of the challenges that they face. I mean, obviously the NNPP is the lesser known political party compared to the Labour Party and the PDP. I mean, even in the vote counts, it showed that while former Minister and former Governor Rabi Musa Kwankwaso did get significant numbers of votes, especially in the north, he is an element to be reckoned with in these negotiations that we have come to understand. How does it fit in terms of the platforming and looking at all the crises that these parties are dealing with? Because he has had to deal with some of his party leadership coming out to say he has been suspended, his membership has been suspended. Peter Obi is dealing with the crisis within the Labour Party itself. Yes. The Abia State Governor recently called for a NEC meeting so that the leadership situation can be sorted out. Obviously, the headache in the PDP is one of the most obvious challenges that they're dealing with right now. So, do you see one of these three platforms becoming the sole destination for all three of them? Or is this rumor of a mega party likely going to be the new destination where all of these three key figures and their supporters and some of the party structures move to form something different away from the establishment parties that we know?
It will be easier for these figures to continue with the PDP than to form a new party. Because if they should form a new party, it will take time, structures and the rest to take place. And from nowhere, they can't just win this election. I don't see them. But if they merge Kwankwaso is a force in the north. And once you get Kano, I think you can get more states. You can get Jigawa, you can get Kebbi, you can get so many other states to you because he's highly respected. He's a highly revered person that people see as a formidable thing. You go to Kano, they will tell you Kwankwasia and the rest. That is a movement. That is a religion on its own that a lot of people really told that same line with him. So he is someone you can really, really be with. Coming to Peter Obi. Peter Obi has cut across everywhere. He has really cut across everywhere. But I don't know his strength in the south east. How much power he has really garnered for himself. But in the nation, on the other hand, people really loved him. But will he still gain that love that they loved him at first? How they showed him that love, will he still be there? But I think if they come together now and said, okay, leave Labour Party, leave NNPP, let us put everything in one basket, like let us form a formidable force with PDP. I think they will do it.
Is PDP a safe house? I mean, let's not forget, we just talked about the Wike problem. Is PDP a safe destination for all three of them?
Yes.
To pursue this presidential ambition?
It is. PDP is a little bit better in PDP now than to form a new party. Why? Because if they merge together now and say they want to kill the dream of PDP, it takes them a longer time before they will come up. You're asking me if it's a safe haven. It is a safe haven because they will come to realization and get to talk to Wike. Wike might not really come out openly that's going to work with them because every politician is an ambitious man who really don't want to let go. You understand? I don't want to use a very foul language, but you know how monkey acts. Monkey doesn't leave one branch of the tree before grabbing another one. That's how politicians are, and their interest is really what plays out. They say, okay, let me hold on to this, let me hold on to this, just in case. If this one fails, I'll have where to fall back to. That's why I try to use that phrase of saying, okay, monkey doesn't let go of one branch of a tree before grabbing another one. Every politician are friends to each other, irrespective of party, because of interest. Interest is what plays most. When their interest is served, they make you an enemy to their enemy, and they become an enemy to your own friend, or to become a friend to your own enemy. It's just because what they want, that is what they want. You understand? It's not as if they really love any one of us. They just want it and they get it.
Right. It's clear that the political currency of the APC is really declining or diminishing, to say the very least. I mean, from the narrow scale in the 2023 elections, just winning by, the narrowest margin we've seen in the current democratic dispensation, but also because of the state of the economy right now. Before the program started, we were talking about the whole fuel crisis situation right now with the pricing and all of that. Inflation at an all-time high, food inflation at an all-time high, low purchasing power, insecurity and all of these things. Do you think the current economic crisis in the country makes this merger appealing to the average Nigerian voter who would be open to the idea of anything but the APC in 2027?
Yes. If you go to the streets today, by the time you ask 5 people, 3 to 4 people will tell you they are really fed up excuse me, with what is going on right now. They need an option. And you don't go out without an option. You must have your option A till you get to Z. That's what makes you human. Not just to say, okay, option A, B, C. No. Your options must get to Z. And the only options they can explore now is a party that really have the weight. And if you look at it, if I might be wrong, I think PDP is more weighty than Labour, because crisis here, crisis there, and it will always happen in every party. And I'm sure in no time, PDP will get their house right, Labour too will also get their own two right. And when they sit down, the crisis in NNPP is a little bit not too loud, like these two other parties. And I think Kwankwaso is a bit in charge of that angle. So if we come back to Labour and the PDP, you find out that somehow, PDP always have a way of resolving their crisis. Somehow. It's been happening since 1999 till date. They always have a way of. There was a particular time when Muazu was their president, their chairman. You remember, there was a very heavy crisis that almost consumed his seat. But somehow, they found a way around it, and the thing now came down. As it calmed down that period, they moved on, and they came for 2015 election before the merger of APC and the rest swept them. The tsunami just came and swept them off the ground.
And if we look at, if we could just play with the numbers, right? Is there a guarantee if these three political heavyweights come together that we can say without a shadow of doubt that they're going to defeat Tinubu in 2027, especially just doing the maths from the results last year? I mean, if you put Peter Obi's number together with Atiku's number, supposing that the same people vote for them next year, obviously, mathematically, it's very possible that they're going to win, and then you add Konkoso to the mix. Is this merger going to be a sure victory in 2027 if they succeed to pull it off?
If Tinubu works well, it's like a camel passing through the eyes of the needle. Because why? If Konkoso really play with them, Konkoso will get the nuts, and he will deliver the nuts. And there will be so many reasons why Konkoso will deliver the nuts, more than APC delivering the nuts. And if you look at it today, who do we have in the north that is from the APC that's really comfortable with what is going on now? Now, coming back to the southeast. Now, Peter Obi is not just for the southeast, and the youths are going to come out in mass to say, okay, we'll follow Peter Obi to wherever he's going. Now, Atiku is already on ground. Charismatically, he has a lot of people following him, believing in him, making it look like the president we never had. I don't know. So that alone, he's sitting very comfortably. He's at home. So he needs these two other heavyweights to really work for him, both in the north and in the south. Where he might have a little problem might be maybe in the west. He might have problem in the west. But if he works well, I think he still have some of his people in the west that can really pull something out for him.
Yeah, but like I said, to be quite direct, is this a guarantee that this three could defeat Tinubu in 2027 if they somehow agree? I mean, not all three of them can be on the ticket, and we'll talk about what the likely compromise would be, but if they agree to work together as one party, do you think that there is no doubt that they're going to win 2027?
Well, there's a popular saying that thought is the lowest ebb of education. I don't want to think, but I think I want to give them a room to go to the field and slug it out. Now, winning might come with a whisker. Hopefully, if they work well with understanding, no distraction, no anger, which is not possible. There will be distraction, and there will be anger that will fall in. And at the end of the day,
so you think the last year's numbers are not going to translate into victory for them in 2027?
I think it will be more than last year. It will be more than last year this time around, because people that didn't vote will definitely come out to vote. Nigeria is a little bit ahead of saying, I don't want to vote, I will not come out. Now people want to come out and really vote. If you really go to the streets, you hear what people are saying. I think this time around they want to come out and do the voting. Let them see what is going to come out of it.
And in talking about the compromise that is likely going to happen, right? One of the reasons why they obviously parted ways, left the PDP. I mean, Konkoso didn't return after his departure from the APC to begin with. But in looking at Peter Obi leaving to pursue his own ambition alone on the platform of the Labour Party, Atiku staying to contest again after the loss in 2019. How do you see this playing out? Because for the much younger demographic that were heavily active in 2023, they want a much younger set of political leaders with different thinking, the set that they think they can relate to and that Nigeria needs right now. How do you see this playing out? I mean, obviously, Atiku and Peter Obi have been on the ballot before in 2019, but there's Kwankwaso in the mix. How do you see this negotiations going? And I mean, obviously, Atiku and Kwankwaso cannot be on the ticket because they're all from the north. But how do you see this playing out in terms of who steps down for who?
I'm looking at Kwankwaso stepping down, which I'm not really sure. Now, if between Kwankwaso and Peter Obi, who do you put first? It's just like between the chicken and the egg. Which one comes first? Will you put Peter Obi as a president and Kwankwaso as his vice, or Kwankwaso as a president and Peter Obi as the vice? You understand? So I look at Kwankwaso stepping down for Peter Obi so that they can play that same thing they were to play prior to that time and they didn't get it right. Now, should it be that because Atiku is still very much ambitious and he believes he's going to win, and it's very good to have a belief. That's everybody's right. So if I don't see Atiku stepping down for any one of them, but I see more or less like Kwankwaso stepping down for Peter Obi. But if it doesn't go that way, if Atiku should step down, these two generals, when they get to the field, I think it will be good. Very, very good. But who takes the first lead? Who's going to be in front? Who's going to be behind? That's where the problem is going to be now.
And looking at the political landscape right now, do you think this particular conversation is something that is gaining traction within the polity? Do you think that, I mean, just to quote the Deputy National Publicity Secretary or the spokesperson of the PDP, when he was having that discussion on Channels Television, he said, when he was asked if PDP is trying to woo Kwankwaso and Peter Obi, he said, and I quote, "Sure, discussion is ongoing. You will see Peter Obi discussing with Atiku. You will see Peter Obi meeting with Nasser El-Rufai. Party management is very difficult. It's a very difficult thing." And he says that we're doing the best in the quagmire that we found ourselves today. Rest assured, there will be light at the end of the tunnel. We have learned our lesson in a bitter way, end quote. I mean, it doesn't sound like, you know, things are taking shape, but maybe discussions are happening. We're just in 2024, getting into the last quarter of the year. Do you think that next year, perhaps, what is your take on the timeline before something like this begins to really come to life?
Between, excuse me, sir, between now and next year, there will be a force to reckon with. A lot of the birds will definitely come to the nest to come and really sit at home and think before they start hatching the egg. El-Rufai is coming on board. Peter Obi is coming on board. Kwankwaso is coming on board. Now, they need to all come together. It's negotiation. And when they come together like this and form a force, I'm looking at 2025 as a year whereby there will be a lot of shake-up, because a lot of people will start seeing figures that are moving back to PDP and they'll start defecting. Governors will defect. Minister, both ex and serving.
You think APC governors, or...
I can assure you some governors will defect. From APC back to PDP. You can put this one, take it anywhere. I can assure you that some of these governors will definitely defect back. Because that's where you will start questioning loyalty at the end of the day, because they will see it as, okay, what's the point? Where do we go from here? Even if they would lose, they will defect. A lot of governors defected at the nick of time of APC, and they were in PDP and they defected to APC, even when they were not expected to do that. Like, you know, did you expect Cross River State governor was going to defect? But he defected and moved to APC, just like the Eboyi man too. You understand? Umahi was the vice deputy governor before. Before you know, Umahi went back to... Umahi claimed that he was Buhari's very good friend, and at the end he defected. So PDP lost Eboyi, PDP lost Cross River. So it's the same thing. It will play again And this is how this governor, at the nick of the whole thing, they will also come back, saying, okay, let them go back to the roots.
What do you think the Tinubu camp is doing, or the APC camp generally is doing, to stop this from happening? Because I reckon they would rather all these three individuals and their party structures work independently than to see them come together. And surely behind the scenes, they would love to put a wrench in this particular plan. Is this about making Nigeria better, renewing the hope agenda that is going to stop this merger from happening? Or do you think there's nothing the APC can do to stop this from happening?
APC can still salvage the situation. It's just a scratch, not a wound. The earlier they bandage it, the better. And what they need to do is just to come together. Give me hope. A doctor will always give a dying man hope. That, okay, it's going to be all right. How are you feeling today? What is happening? So all President Tinubu needs to do is come back home, give hope to this situation that is looking like a hopeless situation. Talk to people. Hear me out. These are reasons why things like this, things are going on. But you see that some of them want to complain, but they can't because of the fear of the unknown. But now that there's a scratch, before it turns to an infection, why don't you bandage it? Don't put a plaster. Bandage it quickly, cover it before the flies get there, so that you can salvage the situation, so you won't lose what you have on ground already.
What about the voters? Because you get a sense that supporters, loyalists of these political figures, from the Konkosia movement to the obedient movement to the crowd within the PDP, would love that their man is the one on the ticket, right? How tricky is it going to be to convince the obedience, for instance, that if at the end of the day an arrangement is agreed upon and Atiku is the man, or Konkoso is the man, and not Peter Obi to be on the ticket, perhaps Peter Obi being the vice president, or vice versa for Konkoso? How do you see this working out? Do you think at the end of the day there will be a ground support for this merger to actually work, or would people be disenchanted that, you know, they're back together again and this is not what the arrangement was?
If Peter Obi goes back to PDP, a lot of people will be happy with him. Because they actually complain.
You don't think there will be a lot of people that will also be disappointed that he's gone back to the establishment party?
If you
that they believe, by the way, is a part of the problem.
They love that man, not the party. They voted that man, not the party he belongs to. It's a good party. It's a great party. Wonderful. They all have their own problem. But it is the arrow man that's more important. Just like they voted for Konkoso in Kano. Just look at a new party came from nowhere. And at the end of the day, look at how he escalated and the fire was everywhere and they were following him. So if Peter Obi should go back to PDP, they make it look like he has come back home to where he actually...
And you think he's going to come back with all his supporters?
Most of his supporters will follow him. At least 85% will follow him back. There might not be room enough to accommodate, but they will follow him. I have that great belief because of his person. And a lot of people want to just hear him say one thing. Once he talks, people listen. He commands the crowd, he commands the people, and people listen to him. They start following him like it's a religion, just like the same Konkoso.
Yeah. And what are the chances that if one of these three doesn't agree to the merger, do you see this working out? If it's only Atiku and Konkoso that agree to work together, or Konkoso and Peter Obi, or just Peter Obi and Atiku, how do you see this playing out then?
If Peter Obi and Atiku works together, it will be fine. If Peter Obi and Konkoso works together, it will be fine. Because both of them have a crowd to command. You understand? If they also bring Atiku back, it's also a fair play for them. I don't know if you know. It's also a fair play for them. But now, if they should merge, come to a round table or a square table to want to talk, is going to withdraw. That was why I said it would be better if if Peter Obi and Atiku works together. Not that Konkoso does not have the crowd, but he has a say in the north that a lot of people listen to him. I said, okay, this is our man. And they follow him. It's not just in Kano. He has these people all over Nigeria. Let me don't just say all over the world. He has them all over. Travel to anywhere today, you see people are saying, I am a Konkosia. That's just, he has been able to, that niche, he carved it for himself.
Yeah. So clearly going into elections, we understand the power, the political power that and influence that governors have over the political party structure. They usually use that power to negotiate future positions in the National Assembly or in the Federal Executive Council. What about the governors? Do you think they're going to sit on the sidelines and allow these three to have their day again on the ballot? Especially looking at those governors who are serving their second term, I reckon they're going to think about what comes next. And we know Nigerian governors love to stay in power, even if it's at a senatorial level or at a minister position. What do you think is going to happen? How much cajoling do these three and their stakeholders need to do to get the governors on their side?
In 2027, most governors will lose their grip on their states because they'll be battling for what comes next if they leave the office. This is the window I talked about earlier. Already you're in your second term. What else do? You cannot have the power the way you used to have it. But they will also want to have the power so that they can put their own person in power so that they can have a stand. But most of them will not have that stronghold on the states like they used to have. So that's where the window comes in for these people to play, or any other party. I don't see Labour putting their house in order as quickly as possible because it's been back and forth, and they are not in the news for good reasons. Same thing as PDP. It's always one negative to the another. But I see them more forming quick alliance, coming together quickly than the other party. But if they get it right in Labour, it will be fine, so that it will not just be PDP, APC, and Labour. Let other parties too come and play this game. Because when it is just two parties playing this game, it doesn't go down well. They leave other parties behind. And that it's not healthy. There should be other forces that will come. Prior to now, we used to have GMPP, we used to have, Pineapple with their logo and the rest. But now we don't have all. They've gone into extinction. We no longer see them anymore. I want more of these ones to come so that, like SDP2 is there, let them just come so that we can have something put on the table or put on the fire and start fighting.
What is your take on the voice of Nigerian youths in the forthcoming election, the next general election in 2027? We saw the immense contribution in 2023. We saw the activity online, offline, how they nursed and nurtured the obedient movement, how they, without the quote-unquote party structure, gave millions of votes to Rabi Musa Kwankwaso, Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, and Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the eventual winner of the presidential election. What is your projection on the kind of role youths and their movement in this country would play in negotiations like this, going into next year and then the year after that before the elections?
Between now and 2027, APC is going to do a lot of groundwork. So much that to take a lot to unseat them. Now they are the party in power. Now PDP will also not let go. Labour is also in the play, but the muscles of NPP is not as high as the rest. So it's more or less like they are comfortable with their state, but they will still make noise, and the noise will be a bit louder in the north, because a lot of people will be looking for tickets in NNPP so that they can also gain some ground. Now, the youth, like I said to you, the youth and the Labour, and the man in Labour, which I don't know if he will still be in Labour or maybe he will leave. But the youth really, really wants him to be in the power or on the seat of power. So anywhere he goes to, the youth will follow him. Take this one to anywhere. They will follow him because he's able to speak their mind. He is speaking them. He tells them what they want to hear. He acts like them. And that is what youth wants. Be like us. Let us know that if we are sagging our trouser, you sag your trouser. It might not be all right, but it could be okay for him.
And do you think all of this is just too early to tell at the moment?
This is the right time.
That they would perhaps keep some of these ideas or plans very close to their chest and not necessarily say anything at the moment?
The youth will talk. They can't keep quiet because they are youth. There's a lot of energy.
No, I'm talking about the key figures involved. That
Okay.
even if they're considering a merger, an alliance, or whatever, that it's too early for them to start divulging information about what they intend to do.
They will definitely divulge the information because you are coming together. What are you coming together for? You didn't come together yesterday, but you are coming together and there should be something. And the press knows how to force them to say something. And definitely they will tell the world what they are cooking. So that they say, okay, they are still cooking or they're about to start cooking or whatever, which will make the other camp to start fidgeting. You understand? So if you look at it, the youths, this party, when they come together for a meeting, either at the secretariat of any of the party, they've never come out to say why they came together to the meeting they are having.
Right. We know how fractured the relationship between the PDP National Working Committee and other members are. You have within the PDP structure, the National Working Committee, some who are in support of Nelson Wike, who are in the Wike camp, and the others who are, the other side, basically, one party, two sides, right? In the Labour Party, as we've mentioned earlier, they do have a leadership problem that they're still dealing with all of the litigations that have come to light after the 2023 elections. How do you see this whole thing being sorted out? Do you see the parties taking charge of the negotiations, or do you see the past candidates negotiating first and then the party structures get pulled into the negotiations?
When they get to the room, the first thing is that, what is in it for me? What do you have for me? I want to come back. When one person leaves, immediately the space is filled up. Now there's no vacancy. You now want to come back. Then there'll be a lot of bags of money. That's what the party needs to really move on. And when they move on to that level, they'll start negotiating that, okay, I want to come back. What do you give to me? What do I need to have? But before the election, they will definitely come back together, especially those that have lost election. So the anger of losing is there. So they will now look at, okay, why can't I come back? And some who have contested before, we also still want, because of relevance. Every politician wants relevance. The moment they are no longer relevant, it's like you've naked them in the market square. So that relevance is what they are all looking for, so that once they mention their name, it could open doors for them. That's what every politician does.
And in this particular conversation, just before we wrap things up, what do you want Nigerians to look out for, especially those who do not have any sort of allegiance to any of the political parties, but are just in search of a leader that they would believe in to fix the rot within the system that we have in this country?
One thing I want the youth or every Nigerian to do is join a political party. Whatever it is, just join a political party. Be a voice. Don't be, I cannot vote. Why would you vote? You need to vote for someone, either good or bad. Join a political party. Vote for somebody of your choice. No campaign for anybody. Just make sure you vote for somebody of your choice. Don't leave the vacuum, because a day will come you will want to ask questions. So when you didn't vote for me, did you ask me anything?
I think it's still early days. We have a lot of preparation, a lot of campaigning that is yet to hit the airwaves, and Nigerians will keep our fingers crossed on this and many other developing political stories as well as issues in the country. Dr. Andrew Ilesanwi, thank you so much for joining us on the program. I appreciate you for your expert analysis.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
And thank you, as always, for being a part of our production. We do appreciate you for taking the time and, of course, sharing your evening with us this hour. Feel free to follow us across our social media platforms just to stay in touch. You can also visit our website, trusttv.com, for more. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. For myself and the rest of the team, thank you for watching the program. Daily Politics returns tomorrow. I'll see you soon.